Travis Wingoodsall. Let's see if we can finally get to this video. So, this is the whole kit and caboodle for Mormonism. This is the capstone. Literally, the capstone. Not the chief cornerstone of the cornerstone. The capstone. This is why Nelson and the church refuses and insists on continually lying, deceiving and frauding and scamming Mormons to keep the knowledge of the Jews away from you. Kirtland Temple, April 3rd, 1836, a week after it was dedicated. So, change in the weather made my coughing worse. So, as Mormons understand it, Jesus appears in the name Jehovah rather than the new name of Yah, and accepts the temple as his house, and thus fulfills the prophecy, the Lord will suddenly come to his temple. And then the church glosses over Moses and Elias because they don't want you to know about them. They go straight to the God Yah, Elijah, for the keys of sealing. And that's it. They do a switcheroo on Moses' keys. It's now missionary work, the gathering of the house of Israel. Whereas Peter, James, and John is now the presidency. So, alright. So, taking this as literal. Speaking with the dead. That's necromancy. That's witchcraft, Satanism. No way to get around it. I mean, Mormons could try to say, hey, these are actual biblical characters. But witches do that too. So, yeah, for Christians, this is blasphemy, this is evil, this, is not their Jesus. Because he does not have a physical body, he cannot physically appear. And so Christians denounce it, and so it's witchcraft, it's of the devil. The Jews are freaking out right now. They're checking their list, checking it twice, finding out that Joseph Smith does not pass. He is therefore not their Christ whom they're looking for. But damn, did he come close. Damn, did he not know certain things that needed to happen. So yes, let's go over some of those. The man like Moses. It was actually Moses appearing, not the man like Moses. And so Joseph Smith then would be perceived as the man like Moses from the prophecy of the Jews in Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 15 through 18. That Joseph Smith refers to in the Joseph Smith History 1838 version. When Nephi comes to him. This is why the church is white supremacist. They want nothing to do with the Jews. They won't bring any of this up that I'm about to share with you. And so Elias is actually Elishua, because it's the Gospel of Abraham. So you go to the book of Abraham where Joseph Smith puts in the part about the Gospel of Abraham, Gospel of Salvation. And so God, Shua, salvation, God of salvation. But the Jews really don't have much on that. Then you've got the God Yah, Elijah. For the Jews, as Joseph Smith is having these visits during Passover, when the Jews have their nightly feasts where they set out an extra place setting for the coming of the spirit of Elijah. And in fact, I think Malachi is the place where we get the suddenly come to his temple, if I am not mistaken. Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me, and the Lord whom ye seek shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant. How did I know? And so for Elijah to come during Passover, when they set a place for him, his coming, and they believe that they have to keep the Sabbath day holy across the board of all of Judaism in order for him to come. And that's why he hasn't come, because some Jew out there is not being faithful. Adam Sandler, is that you? But yeah, they even have some people who are wealthy enough will have a chair for him, and sometimes they're elaborate, decorated and such. So it's quite a big deal. And one of the questions that they have for him, because he's supposed to answer all the questions from the scriptures that are confusing, and he's supposed to be able to restore the scriptures and explain them, is that are we supposed to put out 2 glasses or 1 for you? It's just, yeah, you're looking beyond the mark, guys. Looking beyond the mark. But there's some other stuff regarding Elijah in the latter days, his confrontation with Lilith, for example, where she's wanting to kill the latter day man like Moses as a baby. And he says, well, if the Jewish household has this amulet at the window above the baby's crib, you can't fly through the window because she's still a spirit. You've got to go back to the Jewish mystical writing of Adam and Lilith that explains that part, because she never left paradise, Garden of Eden. She did not fall, so she's still a spirit entity type thing. And she says, fine, I won't murder the baby then. So yeah, she comes from Genesis chapter 1. She is the night. By my self-control for the night, I move among the creatures. Getting little flashbacks going on. Alright. So we got Passover, all that for the Jews. Alrighty. what we really have, there's supposed to be 5, aren't there? So 4 is should I just go right to it and hope you understand whatever picture I make? Because it's just Oliver Cowdery and Joseph Smith that are in there, and they're purposely setting this up on purpose during Passover. That's the real church history. That's number 4. And so Joseph Smith is now setting himself up as the president of the church, the man like Moses from 2 Nephi chapter 3, the cornerstone of the church. Not the chief cornerstone of the cornerstone. Because Nelson does not want to translate after the manner of the Jews, because they're white supremacists. And that's pretty much it. They're fulfilling prophecy. As there's signs in the heavens also. So let's go to number 5. Well, no, we can do it because I did the pictures for back in the day. Everything in their position. Huge fireball. It's actually space debris. Trash. So lame. Alright, the first picture that is buffering. Oh, that was this morning's picture. Alright, so April 3rd, 1836. We have 2 segments. The first one shows Jupiter. He's at the mortal half of Gemini. This is the first, you could say, and then he dies, and then the second stepbrother, brings him back to life. That's the restoration. So the first one is Joseph Smith. That's where Jupiter is right now. Jupiter is the man-child born from Virgo in Revelation chapter 12, verses 1, 2, and 5. And so, perfect timing. This is why Joseph did it on this day. And then you have Venus, which is the church. And I believe the next picture, no, maybe not. Oh, that's when the temple was dedicated. Gotcha. Okay, now Venus is now at the left thigh of Taurus. They've just been replaced by the Jews. And because I'll get to where Venus was on the dedication day in a moment. And there you see the sun is in Pisces. That's his birth date. That's his birth sign. It's Pisces. As the story of Jesus with the 2 fishes and the 5 loaves of bread, those are 2 separate birthdays. The first one is his birth, the 2 bread, or the 2 fishes. That's Pisces. The 5 loaves of bread, that's the star Spica at Virgo, right there at the womb. And so that's the start of the latter days. That every single gospel starts us at. It's the ministry. They're not interested in talking about his pre-ministry days, his birth. They cover that, but it's in the context of the date of the ministry. It's the bread one rather than the Pisces sign. But notice the part where he goes to get the 12 fishermen, the 2 fishermen, Pisces. So they're kind of mixing it up because they really don't know what it is they're talking about, but they know of the prophecies. So they're sort of winging it, mixing up the timeline. 23rd of September 2017. Oh, this is going to be a long video. And so then you have Mars and Mercury in conjunction. And there's supposed to be Jesus, Moses, Elijah, and Elijah. And so you've got Messenger with Mars. They're in conjunction. You then have the moon at the top of the scales of judgment. The moon is the judge. The religion. Joseph Smith is dealing with religion here. And then Saturn is at the feet of Virgo, and trampled underfoot, as Virgo has 2 falling stars, the Eta and Beta Virginids. Alright, so Venus is in Aries on the dedication of the temple, and this is when the kingdom of God on earth has been started. Cornerstone has been laid. The old church done away with, and now a new church is emerging. That's the symbolism that's going on here. Venus is the bride of Mars, and as the bride is the church, the membership. And Mars and Mercury had passed through the waters of Aquarius, the high priest symbol. Because all of them are one and the same character, as I think we can now get to. Oh, yeah, 2008. This is too much information for you. You're not even ready for it. So I'll try not to put that in there. Sucks to be you guys. You skipped the Exodus. That's what this was all about. Because that's the keys of Moses. Not just the presidency, but for the Exodus, to save Mormons from the great and abominable church and take them to Zion and build the temple and the mountain cities of Zion and New Jerusalem and peace, happiness, and prosperity. And Mormons missed it because of the blindness that the church has put upon you. Because that's what this was all about. Setting up for the year 2020, when a Mormon would save the Mormons from the great and abominable church, the great and abominable Christ would leave and go build Zion. And you missed it. You missed it. And so Jehovah, as I went over with you, the new name. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 4, he's now Yahweh Elohim. The full name of Yah, or the new name of Yah. And that's the importance of the temple, is so that they can receive their initiatories. And the initiatories are for Mormons under Joseph Smith to be washed as high priests and high priestesses, both the man and the woman, because what do men and women do? Yeah, pinochle. Monopoly. Well, a game of life. They have babies. And they're going to give birth eventually, 5 generations, to the man like Moses within the Mormon Church of the Great and Abominable Church. And so they need to be washed to become Zadoks, Melchizedek. And then they go over to the anointing booth and are anointed kings and queens. Zadok, Melchizedek, the name that replaced the name of our Christ. Amen, Emmanuel, the God Amen, Son Amen on earth. And thus Mormons, having done the washing and anointings, now take upon themselves the name of Christ. They are Christ's, having been anointed. And they will replenish the earth until the birthright blessing son of the chosen one. That's why Jacob is so important in biblical history. He usurped the birthright and blessing from Esau, as the whole stories, every one of them, usurped it from their brother. So, section 85, verse 7, the one mighty and strong, to set in order the house of God. The temple needs to be set in order. The Great and Abominable Church took over and destroyed Joseph Smith's church. The rock that the builders rejected became the capstone, restoring the church of Joseph Smith. And seed, let's get you that one too. That's in Moses 7 and 53. Yep, 753 in Moses. Blessed is he, mortal man, through whose seed Messiah shall come. And I've told you, it's John Solomon Fulmer and Hiram Smith, through whom he was going to come. Not through Joseph. He's the cornerstone. Hiram becomes the progenitor for the capstone. Both through Joseph Smith Sr. So, a needle pulling thread. La 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 la. Okay. So is that clear so far? Have I simplified it enough for you? Because I could go over the Egyptian documents that tell all of this. I'm sure that will be easier for you to understand, won't it? The Bennu bird on the mound of creation. You wouldn't have a clue what I was talking about. I'd have to say the double D's of David, Horus, and all that other stuff in Egyptian. Alright, so Moses is the one who bestows the man like Moses. And as I've gone over with you, Numbers chapter 12, verse 6. This is what's being used here. This isn't real. This is a dream vision. Because the veil was taken from our minds, our eyes of our understanding were open. We're having vision. So none of this is real. None of this is literal. None of this happened. If somebody were to walk in on them, they wouldn't see anything. Because nothing is there. Except Joseph and Oliver. That's it. That's all. Maybe Joseph Sr., who's helping to write the document. As the patriarch at the time. And so, yes, Moses, to bestow the keys of the man like Moses. For the Exodus in 2020, 600 years from the time Lehi left Jerusalem, which was 8 April 4 CE, which is 20 years before 8 April 2024 CE. And you missed it. And so, Yeshua, the God of salvation, a man like Moses is the Savior. He is the new name of Yah, which is Jehovah. These are all Him. That's why Mars is the personification, as Mercury is the messenger of the gods. So you got messengers, all the same person. And then Elijah, the god Yah. So I think I covered it. Didn't take as long as I thought, did it? Well, wait a minute. I see Bruce R. McConkie put from that time. We need to cover this. In the afternoon, I assisted the other presidents in distributing the Lord's Supper to the church, receiving it from the 12. Yep. Joseph Smith is Jesus. Joshua, Yah of salvation, who is the God of salvation, Elishua. The Last Supper has to do with this very subject that I'm talking about from the Egyptians as well. So maybe we do need to cover the Egyptian story. Okay, so first you have Osiris, good king of Egypt. His brother Set murders him, takes over the throne with the suffix determinative for Paleo-Hebrew being the N, Satan, King Set, the adversary. He nails Osiris in a coffin, 9-inch nails, sets it afloat up the Nile, lands at Babel, Beirut, Lebanon. And there, beached on the shores, it grows into a cedar of Lebanon, of which Ezekiel in chapter 17 talks about a branch from the highest cedars of Beirut, Lebanon, taken by an eagle to America, where it's planted in Oakland, where he's born in the San Francisco Bay Area. Once you know the location, you now can interpret all of prophecy and the date. And the solar eclipses give that to us. That's why I'm able to jump ahead for you, rather than going into detail to explain it further, as I've already done the videos. Isis, his wife, sends out missionaries to retrieve the body and bring it back to Egypt. Scattering and gathering of Israel, but this is the second. Well, it's actually the first coming. Sort of. She resurrects the body, breathes life into him again, and Set finds out this time he hacks his body into 14 pieces, 13 for the tribes of Israel, Joseph has a double portion, Ephraim and Manasseh. Ephraim usurps the birthright and blessing from Manasseh. And then the 14th piece is Dinah, the sister, because, well, he sets all the pieces into the Nile. They scatter throughout the world, scattering of the house of Israel. Isis again sends out the missionaries to the four quarters of the earth to gather in the parts. They cannot find the 14th piece. If you know what I'm saying, it's what men have that women don't have. So Isis had to fashion it in order to conceive Horus. Different manners in which that was done, depending on the text you read it from. But that's the concept. Set finds out that Osiris has been restored and conceived a son in Isis, and his body has been mummified with frankincense and myrrh for the afterlife, and has ascended to be the king in heaven, in the kingdom of heaven. And then she flees into the wilderness to save her son. The child is raised in the wilderness. Revelation chapter 12. And so this is where we get our sacrament from. The Mormon parents, who are members of the church, which is the great and abominable church, nonetheless, they are washed and anointed as Christ's, Ammon's, Melchizedek's, high priest, high priestesses, kings and queens, to give birth to Horus. And so the manner in which that is done is they gather to a church. It's supposed to be a temple, but, you know, and partake of the flesh and blood of Osiris that was broken and shed for them. They internalize the body and blood to give birth to Horus. And no Mormon knows. It's like a lottery. Until the 5 generations are up. 1970, as I've told you. Because at 2020, he was 50 years old for the Jubilee year. And you missed it. And so that's the Last Supper. So for Joseph Smith to set that up on that day is letting Mormons know that it has begun. The temple is now established. They now can receive their initiatories. So that children born in the covenant will one day give birth to the Mormon who would be the capstone Christ, as Joseph is the cornerstone Christ. And so, it is also important to know that Joseph Smith knew the great and abominable church and exposed it in 19 July 1840. Too far. Let's see, enemy, yeah, go part way down. But before this, the time shall be. He's talking about the prophecies that he's given about the restoration of Zion by the man like Moses. When these who are now my friends, 12's among them, shall become my enemies, and shall seek to take my life. And there are those now before me, who will more furiously pursue me, and more diligently seek to my life, and be more bloodthirsty upon my track, than ever were the Missouri mobbers. You say among yourselves, as did them of old, is it I, and is it I? It's from Mark chapter 14, the Last Supper, where Judas is exposed. Judas is Judah. It's phonetically the same as Utah. It is him who was defaulted the kingdom, even though Joseph, through Ephraim, was the birthright blessing son. King David comes from Utah. The son, great and abominable church. And he's calling out Brigham Young, who's now the president. 19 July 1840 B. And all of his 12 who would betray him. They are the Danites, who purposely were sabotaging Joseph's church to call it the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, to turn it into a Christian church. And thus the 1838 history was Joseph condemning that and saying we're Jewish. The Danites are white supremacists. They formed the great and abominable church prophesied in the Book of Mormon. Everything is a match, down to the sign of the inverted pentagram on the keystone of the doors of the Salt Lake Temple that needs to be set in order. And so John Taylor and Willard Richards, of his 12, were left there to make sure Joseph and Hiram were assassinated. And I've gone over with you that John Taylor murdered Hiram Smith with my third great-grandfather's single shot, John Solomon Fulmer. And Willard Richards came from behind Joseph Smith after he shot John Taylor 3 balls, shot him in the back, dragged his body out, dumped it out the window, and then stood over the body of Hiram, shot him right here in the eye, right below the eye. That caused the blood stain on the floor. There's certain forensic evidence that does not fit the church's explanation. They lied to us. And as well they should. They're the ones who did it. The guilty are always the liars. I don't know who did it. Wasn't me. We'll get whoever did this. We'll make Joseph's name, give honor to Joseph's name, or whatever they do. So John Taylor, other than Jesus, he didn't believe in Jesus. What are you talking about? Joseph Smith is the greatest man that ever lived. Yeah, you murdered Hiram. He then shot you 3 times. You're lying to us. You need to burn that section of the Doctrine and Covenants. So, that's the Last Supper. The Lord's Supper. And there is one left to come. The wedding supper feast of the Lord's Supper at the temple for the latter days of the Lamb. It's supposed to be in Zion, but y'all missed the Exodus. So there will be no temple when the utter destruction occurs. That's what Joseph Smith talks about and warns you. It's Malachi, day that shall burn as an oven. It's next year. 22nd of September, 2023, the bicentennial year. That's why Joseph set it up that way, because he knew the date of when they were going to do it. That's why 9/11 has featured prominently in both the United States and in the church. They are seeking to destroy this government and to destroy Christianity, and Brigham is making sure to turn Joseph Smith into a Christian and the Book of Mormon as a testament of Jesus, so that they too can be destroyed when they destroy Christianity. So, I think that's now it. And so, yeah, you're looking for a man who meets all of the checklist. Because there have been many Mormons who have come out and said, I'm him. None of them have said really the man like Moses. It's mostly the one mighty and strong that they claim to be. Or Jesus. Or the reincarnation of Joseph. I don't know what gets into their head. You have to know the checklist and make sure you fulfill every single item on the list. Because Joseph Smith didn't pass for the Jews, just as Jesus didn't pass for the Jews. Because Christians claimed he's literal, so the Jews put him to the test. Nope, not him. Wrong name. And I don't even think they were concerned about the name, even though they should have been. But he died. Can't save the Jews if you're dead. Neither can Joseph Smith. So, but Joseph Smith knew he was going to be the one to die. That he was going to be betrayed. That his church would be infiltrated and usurped. And made sure to set it up so that he would then infiltrate the great and abominable church for the man like Moses who would restore Joseph's church. That's it. That's all. That simple. So, I hope that explains why the church has done what they've done to me. I translated Paleo-Hebrew, the language of the Jews. They're white supremacist. They tried to excommunicate me just for deciphering Paleo-Hebrew. I sat in the office of my stake presidency and bishopric. They were all ganging up on me. Who have you told about this? What are your intentions? Are you seeking to destroy the church? What are you guys talking about? We were told to excommunicate you. By who? Gordon B. Hinckley. He doesn't even know about this. What? Well, I'm going down there and I'm going to find out. He never came back. They don't let him see him. And I was told I can continue my research, but don't go against the church. But they would not leave me alone. And so I was forced to have to protect myself by filing a lawsuit. And I had no clue what to do. I can't afford a lawyer. So we didn't have Google search back then to download documents preset and arranged and a guide as to how to do things. And so I wrote up my grievance, submitted it to the proper government authorities and the church. And they turned around and called it a terrorist threat, and I disappeared for 6 years of my life. Never went to trial, never had a hearing, never pled guilty, just disappeared for 6 years of my life. Where I met the Messiah, Brian David Mitchell, Curtis Allgaier, because that's what they thought of me. That by being a translator of Egyptian and Hebrew, that I'm the enemy, because they're white supremacist. They hate the Jews. Say I'm not black, not a woman, I am part. There was the one line through my mom's dad's side in North Carolina. He was a plantation owner, raped my 14-year-old ancestor mother, who was a slave girl. And because of being a slave, no inheritance for her. So no inheritance for me, passed down through the family. Then my grandfather, a dentist, filthy rich, mansion, but his secretary did not fill out the insurance for his wife, my grandmother. And when she died, no insurance, and so he had to fork the extra money, had to sell the mansion, got a condo. Mom was upset that she wasn't consulted with this, blah blah blah. And not LGBTQ, just Jewish, and that's all it takes. Any, let's see, black, Jew, woman, LGBTQ, yeah, any and all count for persecution by white supremacists. And so I became a target. I got out, got remarried, room number 13 was the Lake Temple, got my picture taken, saw the inverted pentagram, Relief Society resident, made sure to get the whole door in for us. Had our wedding supper feast at the Lion House with the Beehive House and the carcass. And she cut my hair and betrayed me. And so I'm all by myself again. But continued the language of the Jews. And so the church came after me and helped with the dissolution of our marriage, so that they can come and attack me, seek to destroy and murder me, and set this place up for me. Because I got out after 6 years because of 3 key retirements. Being in here, trapped in limbo financially, because I don't qualify for subsidized housing, and I'm way under to get a regular apartment on my own. And so there's nobody who can retire in this situation to rescue me and free me. I'm trapped. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a lifer. That's why they set me here. They were unsuccessful to murder me, though, dear God, I went down another notch on my belt today. If you're unfamiliar, prior to, I was a XXX. And I'm not sure how much on the XXX, because my belt had holes all the way around. And so when I got here, I'm losing weight like crazy, losing mass like crazy, because we don't get fed well. It's food bank food, supplement. So for dinner tonight, we had a roll, we had chicken nugget things, and we had mashed potatoes, no gravy, no condiments for the chicken strips or chicken nugget things, and nothing for the roll. No butter, no jam, none of that. Nothing to drink, because it's expected that people who receive the food bank would then buy what's necessary to eat the supplement. So we would buy the gravy, we would buy the butter and the jam or whatever, we would buy the ketchup or whatever we would use for the chicken. And they can't do that, and so thus we're malnourished here. As homeless people, we're malnourished. And so I had bought a triple X belt at first, the other week, and it was way too big. Didn't have enough holes. So I went back, got a 2X belt. I'm on the last rung. And even then it's kind of loose. And so I got the extra large belt. And I'm now down to the second to the last. There's just one rung left. And so at the rate this is going, I'm likely to have to go and buy a large. That's how bad it's getting. Like I said the other day, my face is so thin now. Not just because of the haircut and the shaving of the beard. So, yeah. Oh man, 51 minutes? Oops. Working on the thumbnail, I realized I forgot the Mount of Transfiguration. Jesus takes Peter, Seer, James, Jacob, birthright blessing, and John, the doppelganger cousin, Oliver Cowdery, to the Mount of Transfiguration. And there sees Moses and Elijah. And so that's where Jesus is given the keys so that he can then pass them on to Peter, which actually is James, his brother, to lead the church. His Acts is different. And is the manner in which Joseph Smith is patterning that thing off of, as well as it's a prophesying of the Messianic Jews, Jewish literature, learning of the Jews situation. So that's the real part that is part of that. So I've got to change the thumbnail picture to put in the Mount of Transfiguration in place of Joseph and Oliver Cowdery all by themselves. Which probably do a merger of the two. We'll see.